What's up, everyone? Welcome into the All-22 NFL show. You have Chris and Ray as always. Ray, I have a story about another Italian relative if you're ready for it. This one's quick.
Never ready for it.
All right.
Never
This is
ready
about
for it.
Uncle Dom. All right. Uncle Dom.
Oh,
You ready
Big
to
Dom.
hear about Uncle Dom?
Okay. Big Dom. Yeah, sure. Let's hear about Big Dom.
So Uncle Dom was my grandma's brother, my dad's mom's brother. So he's really my great Uncle Dom. Great Uncle Dom served in World War II. He lost his life in World War II. We just had Memorial Day. So this is more of a story to say, I'm sure a lot of people out there have loved ones that you've lost to the military, whether it's somebody that you knew in your lifetime, maybe it's somebody that you just hear stories about. But Memorial Day was a few days ago. Just want to give a shout out to all of those people that serve in our military and give a special thank you, right, to those that are still fighting in the military. And, just again, we remember those that we lost. I still hear stories about Uncle Dom, my mom's brother, who my brother has his middle name after him, right? So he still lives on through us. Just a really special thing that our country has is one of the best militaries in the world. And we appreciate you all. How was that?
Amen. Salute to the troops. That's good. It wasn't a funny story. It was a great story. So
Cool.
I appreciate it.
All right. Well, I'm going to give a special shout out to John, who is one of our favorite people that we play All-22 with, because he had this really fun idea where essentially he's just drafting rookies this year to kind of compete against other people. And he's doing it in a kind of a fun and creative way. I kind of took your idea, John, who, I appreciate you saying I can do that. And I put a little bit of a twist on it for Ray and I, where we're going to draft. It's kind of like a startup team, right? But only with rookies, as if we were doing a startup draft, only with rookies. We each have to draft a starting lineup in All-22. The only caveat is we each have to choose a quarterback before pick 10 to keep things fair. And what we're going to do, though, is we're going to carry this team year over year and only draft rookies on top of it, as if we were kind of like a startup team in the NFL, right? We're not going to go through that whole free agency thing. It's a lot of work, like expansion team-wise. We're not doing all that. We're drafting rookies this year. We're going to compete against each other in All-22 with these rookies. Maybe a couple times throughout the year, we'll call it out and see how we're doing and tell you how we're doing. But the next year, we're going to draft rookies to add to this team, right? So if Ray's quarterback that he drafts sucks, which it probably will, next year he'll draft a new one and it'll get added to his current team. Kind of a fun way to kind of keep track of how we compete against each other constantly and also what we think about prospects. Ray, do you have any last rules or contingencies you want to throw in here? Or is there anything at stake? Are we going to put anything at stake against each other?
No, there's enough. We're in 8 leagues already. Like that's probably a low number with each other, but there's already enough stakes here. So it's all about pride. And again, it's not a mock draft. It's not a mock draft, right? We kind of did one of those a couple episodes ago already for the rookies. So check that out if you haven't just yet. But again, All-22, the only fantasy football platform with full 53-man rosters, including offensive linemen. You're actually building a full roster and NFL team that you manage year over year. Think Madden franchise mode in a fantasy football format for those of you whose podcast is currently your first podcast with us. So welcome. And sure, let's just dive in. And I think we just agreed, let's not just be a dick with quarterbacks since we are just drafting a starting lineup. Don't whoever takes the first quarterback, the next guy, don't just wait till round 22 to take the starting quarterback for your team just because we're doing a starting lineup. So just let's keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm all about it. Let's do this.
All right. So Ray, do you have a piece of paper or a pen in front of you?
I have both. I have a book and a pen in front of me. It's a small book, though. It's not a lot of space on the paper.
Write down heads or tails. Like one of them. Pick heads or tails. Write it down. This way people know we're not cheating.
All right. I wrote it down.
Okay. I'm going to flip a coin, and this is going to decide who gets pick one.
Okay.
All right?
All right.
Coin is being flipped. It's digital. And it was tails. Can you show us what you picked?
Yeah. Oh, if you could read my handwriting. Probably not going to come through here. That's tails. That's tails, baby. Tails.
You
cursive.
You have the first pick, bud.
All right. First pick. Oh, damn. Yeah. I wanted the second pick. I really wanted the second pick. You did.
And by the way, this is snake. This is definitely a snake draft.
No, what? Okay, fine.
100%.
It's fair to be snake. Now I really want it. No, I should choose. If I won the coin toss and it's like I get to defer or I get to take the ball.
No. That was already determined. You should have said that before we flipped.
You didn't say snake before we flipped.
Do you want me to flip again?
Checkmate. No, because now you know my answer, and I can't see
No,
the
I
extra
mean,
flip.
you could write down a new answer, turn the page,
Listen,
write down
I
a
will
new
be the
answer.
bigger person, and I will just take the first pick. All right, fine.
I will be the smaller person and allow you to do that.
All right. So again, one thing we have to remember in all formats of fantasy football is this is supposed to be fun, right? We're supposed to have fun in fantasy football. You want players on your team that you want to be on your team, that you want to root for. So when you have the first pick and the world is your oyster, take the guy who's an elite player at an elite position that you want on your team. So I'm going to take Abdul Carter because why would I not want to root for him for the next decade? He's an absolute stud at a premier position at pass rusher. It's still one of the highest weighted positions in all 22. It's a cornerstone player for your defense. Not many like him to come out every single year, if any. So I'm going to go ahead and take Abdul Carter with the first overall pick in this little snake two-man starting lineup rookie draft that we got going on here.
Ray, my hands, I could have had them raised the whole time before you made your pick. I had already written down that with the number one overall pick, you were going to draft Abdul Carter. Great pick. He was also number one on my board. He is who I would have picked number one overall. So now I have kind of a little bit of a tough decision. I guess I could say my first pick. My first pick is going to be Travis Hunter. So Travis Hunter will be my first pick. I'm assuming he's just playing receiver at this point, kind of based on what's happening in camp and what the coaches have been saying, that they really want him to learn how to be number one receiver. And I kind of talked about when we did the film review, how I don't think he was the best receiver in the draft today, but the potential that he has is so much better than any receiver that was in this draft and maybe even last year's draft. I think he has that Malik Neighbors upside with maybe even a little bit more to him. The size is always going to be a concern for me. I'm going to keep saying it. But I still think just the body of work that he's delivered in college and what he showed us as a true athlete is too valuable. And if he ends up playing both sides, I get a little additional value there. So Travis Hunter is going to be my first pick in this draft. And now the hard decision is, do I go ahead and take the QB1 or do I take the player that maybe I had the most value on after him? But I'll tell you what, man, because I've passed on Cam Ward in too many drafts that it's starting to get to that point where like, there's going to be a ghost haunting me if he ends up being even like decently good. So for that reason, I'm going to go ahead and take Cam Ward at number 3 overall. So Cam Ward, again, the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans that they drafted with the first overall pick, absolute gunslinger, but with a really nice build, good body, really strong arm, one of the best pocket navigators that we've seen in recent years, similar to like the way Caleb did it a few years ago. A player that, while I am very worried about the team and situation he's fallen into, I think that he has enough in him to at least be a decent player in the NFL on his own, right? I think he has that upside where he can carry a team to around a 500 record, and that usually translates to a high PFF grade if he's doing it on his own. So I'm going to go ahead and take Cam Ward and then hand it over to you, and hopefully you don't take the guy that I wanted to take next, but we will see.
Yeah, this is why the Patriots should not have won a meaningless game at the end of last season, because there is such a massive drop-off in pick 4, which we discussed in the weeks leading up to the draft, and everyone kind of knows it. It's a tough place to be. But at pick 4, there is still a good marriage between a premium position, scarcity, and upside. So with that, I'm going to take an offensive tackle, and I'm going to take Armand Membu. One of the few players that I think has the upside to rival the ceiling of the top prospects in last year's offensive line class. He's not there yet. However, he's got all the tools. We spoke before about his zone run blocking prowess, and how that's a great fit for what the Jets may want to do in the ground game. And he pretty much kind of completes that offensive line and makes all those players fit, at least on paper, which has been the case for the Jets in the recent past and hasn't always worked out. But 21 years old, has the size, the athleticism, the feet, the upside. So I'm going to go ahead in a draft that was not very strong at offensive tackle. I'm going to grab a great one, or a good one with the potential to be great, before that position gets too thin and my board gets wiped out. So at pick 4, I'm taking Armand Membu.
It's a great pick. Is there any worry in your mind about them having such a young offensive line and really a young offense in general, in terms of like him developing into the player that you want him to be?
Of course, but by the time I fill out this roster with 53 players after 2.5, or 3 rookie classes, they should be off and running. That they'll be entering the early parts of their prime at that point. So give me the upside player in someone like Armand Membu.
All right.
And
You're
since
back
it's
on
a
the
snake,
clock.
I get to double up. Oof. I could really put you in a bind here if I you
Don't
probably
chicken out. Do
feel
it then.
here's why I can't do it. Because in my view, there's still a good one left if I were to really put you in a bind here by trying to go the scarcity route again. So I won't. I will not.
Okay.
What I will do is go ahead and take. It's tough, man. Snake is tough. I'm going to go ahead and take Mason Graham. Let's not overthink it. Phenomenal football player who you are down on comparatively. I am not, but he's just such a good. He's going to grade well, regardless of whether or not he has or ever reaches the ceiling to that of a top 6 or 8 defensive interior player in this league, because he doesn't have necessarily the physical prowess of a Quinnen Williams. He does everything so well, and he's got Myles Garrett with his hand in the dirt alongside him out there in Cleveland as well. So it's a pretty good starting point for a young player like him, but I think he's going to hit the ground running at a position. Again, there's not a lot of great defensive interior players in this league. Give me one with an extremely high floor and still a pretty darn good ceiling, although it may not be an elite type of ceiling that we've seen in some previous years. He's going to be a damn good player for a long time. So I'm going Mason Graham.
Yeah, and I believe in it. I believe in it now, right? And I kind of talked about that throughout the offseason, how he was a player that I wish didn't get as much hype as he did, because I really like the player, just maybe didn't like him in the same conversation with like a Jalen Carter and the ceiling that people were talking about for him. But then he landed with the Browns, and that matching across from Myles Garrett or next to Myles Garrett is going to be insane for him. The amount of one-on-one matchups that he can win with Myles Garrett getting double teams is phenomenal. And to be honest with you, that's why I was talking about maybe not taking Cam Ward. I was thinking about taking Mason Graham at three. So then just to recap, 5 picks in, Ray took Abdul Carter 1 overall. I took Cam Ward and Travis Hunter 2 and 3. And then Ray came back and took Armand Membu and Mason Graham. So we were 5 picks in. It gets tossed back into my court. And it does get difficult, because you're right. That drop off was massive. It was massive after, in my mind, it was really the first 4 picks. I would have taken Membu 5, but still, like, the value that top players in this draft are gone. I feel like I could do the same thing that you were maybe talking about doing, where I could maybe go with a player and double up at a position that would put you in a difficult spot. But I'm going to take Josh Simmons again. Like, he's a player that I just want to have on my team. I know this is really early, considering he was the 32nd overall pick, and there's injury concerns about his knee, but the positional value for him and the spot that he was taken in the landing spot, it's too good for me to pass up. My draft strategy, I've talked about this, is like, I always want to attack the players that I think are just premium players before I attack maybe a guy I was less high on, but got drafted a little bit sooner. So for example, I passed on Kelvin Banks in this pick. Maybe I come around and get him later. We'll see. But yes, he was taken 9th overall to the Saints. I have more faith in Josh Simmons. I think Josh Simmons is the better player here. So I'm going to trust my big board, and I'm going to go with a player that I really like, that I also really like his landing spot. And then coming back around, I think part of the strategy too is like, I went Travis Hunter with, the 2nd overall pick. And I really like Travis Hunter, don't get me wrong. But every year there are good receivers, right? So while I am thinking about doubling up right now, I think I'm going to pass, knowing that next year or the year after, I can get a player that I have similar value on to him. And I think I'm going to go in a kind of maybe a shocking route to some people. I'm going to go with Donovan Jackson at the guard that the Vikings took. Again, this is just my evaluation and how much I just really thought he was this elite player at, yes, maybe a less valuable position, but we actually just released our new weights, and guard keeps rising year over year. And the difference between guard and tackle is now like, it's the slimmest it's ever been, right? It's the slimmest it's ever been in terms of weight. I'm very confident that this is going to be a good player on a good offense, on a good offensive line. And to me, that just screams value. So that's where I'm at. Crazy enough, 4 picks in, I didn't go defense yet. Pretty shocking.
Yeah, you might be pretty thin. You might be pretty thin in the trenches there on defense, because I'm gonna go not thin, and I'm gonna take Kenneth Grant. So I'm gonna go back into the defensive interior spot here, take the number one, in my opinion, run stuffing defensive tackle in this class with some upside. And again, my plan is things aren't looking too great in Miami right now. They're just not. The vibes are not good. Last year was a disaster. The defense is kind of has to be rebuilt and is in the process of being as such. But again, give it 2 years, get the other two rookie classes in here to really fill out this team. And then I think guys like this will be kind of, again, hitting their stride, and we'll see where things are in 2 years. But Kenneth Grant, you know what he does well. So if he's asked to do that, he's going to do it well. And that's stuff to run. And I do think he has some athletic upside there beyond just run stuffing. He has that physical prowess, like some of the top defensive interior players that have come out in recent years, just from a straight physical standpoint. So I'm going to go ahead, take Kenneth Grant, leave you in a lurch. I'm pretty sure I know who you're going to end up taking on the defensive interior when you finally get around to it at this point. But I'm going to go ahead and take my guy, Kenneth Grant here. Really work the trenches on the defensive side of the ball here. And then again, just to protect myself, because I'm a big scarcity buff, so to speak, I'm going to go back on the other side of the ball on the offensive line and take guard Tyler Booker. To me, there's a clear drop off between the top two guards and everybody else in this class. As you may have heard in previous episodes, I had Donovan Jackson as my guard one, but really like Tyler Booker. Obviously, he goes to a destination that we like for offensive linemen. He's a big, physical, powerful player, but very good in pass protection. But obviously, the style of play in Dallas fits what he likes to do. So we know how that's worked out in the past with Dallas investing highly in offensive linemen. And Booker in his own right is a hell of a prospect regardless. So given the scarcity at guard, the rising impact and premium being put at that position year over year, and the lack of depth at that position, I'm going to go ahead and get a 21-year-old stud prospect here in Tyler Booker and continue to build my team through the trenches.
Beautiful picks.
That's a lot
of pounds.
Probably,
yeah, you have, dude, you're hefty. Your team is thick.
Yeah.
And I'm surprised you left somebody for me. And I was trying to be nice, but I'm not going to be nice anymore. So apologies.
I know you're going to do it, but that's fine. You go for it.
He was my number 3 overall prospect pre-draft. Yeah. On my big board now, he is now number 7. We are now 10 picks. This is going to be pick 10. I'm taking Tyler Warren, bud. I'm sorry. Tyler Warren is now a Lamba Leap. For those that don't know, that's my fantasy name always, Lamba Leaps.
But he's got a fullback running the football. You're not scared of that? You're not worried about that?
No, because in All-22, we separate the impact of the player from the rest of the team. So no, I'm not.
I know. I was trying to help you out there. So
yeah, I appreciate that. Little plug, right? Little plug.
Yeah, little plug, little subtle plug. But that's a great pick. Continue.
It's a great pick, right? I actually really do like the landing spot in Indy, just because it is a team that has successfully developed a lineman, and Tyler Warren is a great blocker already. I think they'll continue to develop that for him. It's also a team that I think has some good receiving options that he can complement, right? He can be kind of a different option. He could be that middle of the field option to pair with Michael Pittman. You kind of have these two mega huge guys going down the field, could open some things up for that offense. So I do like that a lot. Now it's hard. Do I want to go skill? I still haven't gone defense, which is a little terrifying and very, very unlike me. It's not something I typically do. I'm just not sure the value is there. Is there for defensive players at this point in the draft. I am going to be a jerk now. Nah, am I? I'm not going to be a jerk. I am going to be a nice person.
Play clock. Sorry, put the play clock.
Can I move a tackle to guard? Or
no, you can't move a tackle to guard. You have to play within the rules of All-22.
All right. Well, if I'm going to take a player to lead my defense and be the identity of my defense, it's going to be Jahad Campbell. We talk about how he is my guy. He is the one linebacker that I've said in the last couple of years that I think is elite. He went to the Eagles, which in my mind is probably the most elite situation a linebacker could go into, with considering the defensive linemen that are going to be in front of him and the players behind him. He's in a terrific place. can he get healthy, right? At this point, it's just, can he get healthy? But to your point earlier, right, it's 3 years from now, is he healthy? What is he 3 years from now? That's really what I'm working for. And again, finding that identity, need him here. But Ray, I will kind of call you out, because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. This is pick 12. You have to take a quarterback.
Don't worry. I was relaxed. I was going to.
You're late. You're around late. You're around late.
No, I wasn't, because I think when I first said that rule, it was like before you just like, oh, snake, after I had already declared, my coin toss, and you made me take this first pick.
It's all right. I'll give it to you.
So, all right. So again, the rule of don't be a dick just because the other guy took a quarterback. I will sit here and take Jackson Dart of the New York Giants. After Cam Ward, there's uncertainty and question marks with every quarterback remaining on the board. I mean, there's uncertainty and question marks about Cam Ward too. That's just the nature of the position, but especially for the rest of the class, everyone has question marks. Everybody has that factor that I always say. You could look back 2 to 3 years from now and say, well, of course he wasn't successful in the league because of X, whether it's of their own doing or the situation they were drafted into. And in Jackson Dart's case, there's a little bit of a question about both. There's some development that needs to take place there when it comes to processing and just sort of being pro ready and operating an NFL style offense coming from that operation he had at Ole Miss. And then obviously the Giants, the offensive line is still not that great. The situation has slowly been getting better, but it really isn't up to par to where you're comfortable throwing a young quarterback into the mix. However, they may have to do that in week 6 or something just to save their jobs if the season isn't going very well. But we all talk about how we doubt how much time that actually buys a staff that may be on the chopping block. And then there's questions about, well, what happens to young quarterbacks and their development when they have new head coaches after year 1? That's one of your hypotheses there, Chris, as to what leads to a lot of quarterbacks to struggle in the league. But nevertheless, he's got the most upside of everyone available still on the board here at quarterback, 22 years old. I still do like Daboll and his system. It's just a matter of, can the pieces come together? It's a big question mark, but he's got a big arm. He can make the big time throws. He has to clean up and need some polish, but hey, this is a long game. That's what I've been saying with this team since my first pick. So I'm going to go ahead and take Jackson Dart as my starting quarterback. And then I will go ahead and with my sort of snake pick here. It's tough because there's certain areas where you can be a total jerk. I don't feel like you have the stones to do it, but I'm going to go ahead and take Jahdae Barron at corner here. So I'm going to go ahead in the secondary. Again, player who landed in Denver, which is fantastic. He's not going to draw sort of the prototype assignments on the outside. That's going to be left to Patrick Surtain. So Jahdae Barron can do what he does best, which is be a versatile piece that can move around and match up with other sort of hybrid sort of slasher pieces on the opposing offense and do what he does best, which is, again, be a ball hawk, make plays, and just be a sound player overall. So I love it. I think they're going to avoid a lot of the potential size mismatches that people have concerns about with a player of Jahdae Barron's size coming into the league. And once you get past that, he's just a freaking flat out great football player. So I'm going to go ahead, take Jahdae Barron. I think he can grade very well at the cornerback position, landed in a good spot. And there you have it.
You're playing a very dangerous game of chicken right now, Ray. I'm trying to be nice.
I don't even know what
you're all a witness. You're all a witness.
Know what you're talking about.
You're all a witness that I've been trying to be a nice person, and
I don't know what you're talking about.
My fuse is getting kind of short. It's getting pretty short. I'm trying to decide if I want to continue being a nice person.
You coward. You're a coward. You're going to do it. I'm going to be like, so? It wasn't even part of my plan.
I don't know if that's true, Ray.
You're going to be like, oh, here's Gray Zabel or something. Like that's going to make me shake my boots.
Why are you – like that guy's got a family. You know what I mean?
Does he?
That guy's got a family.
I know he's a little older than some other rookies, but I don't think.
What position are we saying he is, by the way?
Gray Zabel is a guard.
It's a guard. We're going to say he's a guard for now. Okay.
I mean, that's what the platform says. Doesn't matter what you say.
All right. Well, I'm just saying, like, other draft boards still have him as a tackle, unfortunately.
Is there something like, you remember like the draft where the Vikings ran out of time? And then you're talking too much. You're not making your pick. I'm just going to go ahead and start just picking players.
All right. I'm going to go Malachi Starks. I'm going to go safety Malachi Starks, who got drafted by the Ravens. little later than I expected, but still, like we've talked about how lately teams are just gun shy when in terms of taking early safeties, which is weird because they're not a position that's typically super volatile. Typically, a safety, if they're good, they're good. So kind of interesting that Malachi Starks, kind of fell a little bit in terms of my book, but still, he went to a perfect situation in my mind. Imagine a safety duo in my mind of Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton in the future with the corners that they have as well, right? Really good defense in front of them. I have really no questions about Malachi Starks. And again, if you notice my strategy, I understand I just took a safety maybe before some very valuable players, but the safety that I took, I have almost an elite grade on, and I'm going to take that player before anybody else always. Okay. And Ray, you're really being a jerk. Like, I'm going to give you one more. I'm going to give you one more chance.
Whatever you do,
I'm going to give you one.
This isn't a charity case. Just make your pick. Make your pick.
I'm going to give you one more chance to do the right thing.
I'm totally comfortable being uncomfortable, and that's the difference between
what?
Good and great, and great and elite.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I am going to
play clock.
Give you one more opportunity to do the right thing.
It's not that.
I don't know who I'm taking.
The clock's about to run out. I'm about to run up to the podium.
No. I have countdown. I'm all right. 30 seconds starting right now.
That's great podcasting. I think I know who you're like trying to get me to pick, and like I'm fine if you just do what you got to do. Like I'm totally fine. Like okay, fine.
I'm sure you are. No, I'm gonna give you one more chance, and I'm gonna take a player that people know I like, and I know you won't take anyway. I'm still gonna take him. I'm gonna take Shamar Stewart, who is a my guy.
I thought.
He is a my guy, right? Shamar Stewart selected, I think it was pick 15 or 16 in the NFL draft 17 to the Cincinnati Bengals. Really good run stuffing player. I think he has an elite trait while he's not an elite player. There's a chance they trade away Trey Hendrickson. Either way, I love this guy in that fit. They need help on that defensive front. This is a guy that brings a lot of power and strength to that defensive front. He is going to be my edge one right now. Okay, I'm handing it back to you. You have one chance to be good. I'm doing it next round.
Relax. Is Travis Hunter the only receiver you take? And I've written down some picks. I feel like I missed one of your picks.
Travis Hunter is the only receiver I've taken, which is
so
why
I'm going to go ahead and take Tet McMillan here because
holy cow,
a freaking baby. What? That's you. Your board and my board are different. Don't take your board and project it upon me. Okay, I like Tet McMillan. I do.
So why did you wait this long to take him?
Because I also, first off, I was forced to take Jackson Dart, but because I also really like Jahdae Barron. I also really like Tyler Booker, and I built myself in the trenches with Kenneth Grant and Mason Graham. I don't see what's so wild about all that.
It's wild.
Those are all like, yeah. Regardless, Tet McMillan, good player. I do like the fit. I don't think the elite upside is there. He is sort of Rome-esque, not necessarily Mike Evans-esque, but he could be a really good football player. And I think as much as some may slightly overrate the ceiling with Tet, I think people are also underrating the fit with Bryce Young. Bryce Young has never had a player, a weapon, a prototype like this. And now he does. And he's sort of a playmaker who can make things happen and extend plays, which Tet McMillan is really good at. You kind of saw that on tape a bit. I mean, we noticed it when we did the film breakdown and film study episode of Tet McMillan. We noted the freaking quarterback play or lack thereof that had to take place there. But there were a lot of different scramble drills where Tet McMillan showed a good sort of feel and nuance for getting open in those situations. And I think Bryce Young and him can have some good connection there on top of the size, the red zone ability, and sort of the underrated yards after catch that Tet McMillan brings to the table. So it's a pretty good fit there. Does it warrant the freaking reaction that I've been getting from Chris the last 5 minutes? Probably not, but it's a very good player with a good fit or good potential fit at quarterback that I think they can grow together. Bryce Young is still very young. So we'll be interested to see how that develops, but I think that's a good start and launching point for my wide receiver position here for my starting lineup. And then with that, I think I'll go ahead and stay put and take Colston Loveland as an offensive weapon as well, because while I do like the depth of this tight end class, there are some other guys on the board that I like here. Colston Loveland went to a phenomenal situation. Caleb Williams, Ben Johnson offense, wide receivers all over the place. He's not going to be a focus in coverage. However, as we noted in the breakdown, this guy can block his tail off. You have to do that at Michigan to get on the field there as a tight end. You're not just going to go in there and be a glorified wide receiver. You have to do that. He gets dirty, does the dirty work in the trenches, and can get open. And he's got an offensive scheme that will allow him to get open and get some yards after catch, even though that's not necessarily his forte. He's going to be in position to take advantage of openings in the defense as a result of that scheme. At just 21 years old, prototype size and athleticism, I'm going to go ahead and take Colston Loveland here as another weapon on offense for me, who can also do the dirty work in the trenches, which really sets a nice floor, a nice high floor for his grading, despite being a young tight end, which we all know and say over and over again takes time to fully round into form. It's good to have that nice base while you're in that development phase.
Love a nice base.
Yeah. Good base.
You were up again, right?
No, I'm not. I took Tet and Colston Loveland. I mean, I'll go again.
It's my pick. I love it.
Pick.
I'm so excited. All right. I am going to stop the slide here. And I think this is the point where I'm comfortable taking Will Campbell. Didn't really want to do this, but I do think that the investment that the team made in him warrants a top, what is it? We're almost at pick 20. Like, it warrants this type of round pick. Will Campbell playing tackle for the Patriots. I think he should have been a guard or a center, has some shorter arms, struggles with kind of bend and flexibility, in my opinion. His frame, he stands a little too upright. For me, doesn't necessarily get the pop that I want because of that, but his mental acumen for the position is outstanding. And I think that's why they took him where they did, which also could translate, right? It could be something in All-22 that translates to a very solid player. So I'm feeling good because I have both my tackles now. And it kind of makes up for, yes, I took tackle, that was taken 32nd overall earlier, but now I got the 4th overall pick. So I'm starting to feel a little bit more comfortable about the gamble I took earlier. And I am on the clock again, and I am going to add to my trenches again. I'm going to go Walter Nolan. I know this is not a player that you would have taken, but I want to be realistic to the value that I think that player has. I think this is where I start to see Walter Nolan going. A player I do really like in terms of just flexibility, burst, power, just combination of different skills that I think add up to a really good NFL player, while he doesn't maybe have the size of a Kenneth Grant or the mental acumen of a Mason Graham. This is a guy that is a workhorse kind of player. And if he can just stay kind of grounded, maybe I'll say, in a nice way, I think he has a really promising future, especially in the Cardinals organization where they brought in a lot of veteran guys like Calais Campbell that should be able to mentor him and make him just that much better in the future.
Look, it's not a bad pick. It's not a bad pick. I'm still missing someone you took in my notes here, but
do we want to read through, maybe do a little recap real quick?
Yeah, is that 10 rounds? Are we at round 10?
Dude, I don't know. I have our picks written down at the positions.
Just count them. Not that hard. All right, go ahead.
So Ray has quarterback Jackson Dart, wide receiver Teteroa McMillan, tight end Colston Loveland, tackle Armand Membu, guard Tyler Booker. On the defensive side, he has Mason Graham, Kenneth Grant, Abdul Carter in his front seven, and then Jade Bear in the corner. Me, I have Cam Ward at quarterback, Travis Hunter as my wide receiver 1, Tyler Warren as my tight end 1, Josh Simmons and Will Campbell at tackle, Donovan Jackson at guard, Walter Nolan at my defensive interior, Shamar Stewart on my edge, and then Jahad Campbell at linebacker and Malachi Starks at safety.
You said all that. I still feel like I missed one of your picks and don't know who right after you read them all, but fair enough. So it's back to me. And at this point, I can go several directions. It's almost relieving how many different directions I can go here. However, again, my theme with long-term sort of hit your stride in year 3, I'm going to take Emeka Ibuka.
That was
phenomenal floor as a phenomenal floor as a receiver. We know he's going to grade very well because he does everything well. Can he have those sort of takeover games that win you a week grade wise? Probably not in year one when Chris Godwin and Mike Evans are both there, but he's got a solution at quarterback, and he'll probably still get some slot work and be a consistent target this year before hitting his stride thereafter. But again, same thing that I talked about with my previous pick in Colston Loveland, a really nice high floor to sort of fall back on during that development phase as a player, as a young player. I think Emeka Egbuka is the clear pick here. While he doesn't have the game-breaking sort of elite level upside and hype of some of the most some receivers in the most recent draft classes here, you know what you're going to get. He's going to grade very well. And again, that's the point of All-22 here. We just want good football players playing good football. I think I can't let him fall any further. I can go a few different directions here, but at this point, I'm going to go ahead and finalize my offensive tackle position. I'm going to take Kelvin Banks Jr. It's a mess down there in New Orleans right now, but I do think they're kind of fitting the pieces on their offensive line by moving Fuanga over to right tackle as a result of this pick. Can slide some previous tackles over to guard that they had previously that may fit better there on the interior. They got a long way to go, but again, if I'm looking at year 3 to really sort of hit my stride with this team and this roster, then I'm going to take a player with the talent and the upside and the physicality there, but still has some holes in his game that he needs to sort of round out and polish. While he does that, I think that team slowly gets better, and we'll see where they are in year 3. So Kelvin Banks as my second offensive tackle, following Emeka Egbuka as my second wide receiver.
Awesome picks. I was about to take Egbuka. You kind of ripped the rug out from under me. I did have a backup plan, and I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to take Luther Burden. Similar kind of conversation where I think 3 years from now, he is going to be the wide receiver 1 there. That's just a personal thought. I know Rome is there too, and people really like Rome. I have a higher grade on Luther Burden than I did on Rome. I think he offers more. I think the coach handpicked him, and I really like that situation for him. So I'm excited. It also, again, it's like you kind of stole him from me in a different league. I want him in this league. This way I kind of have that going forward, a guy that I really like in my back pocket. It gets really tricky now, I'm going to be honest, because I'm looking through the positions and who was drafted and who's available. And I don't necessarily love the number 1 guy. Like, I don't feel like I need the guy that was maybe drafted highest at that position. I also have a feeling you're going to take somebody that I'm not going to take, so I don't necessarily feel the sweat that I need to jump on it. So I'm kind of struggling a little here to make this pick, and you can start the timer for 20 seconds.
I started the timer 20 seconds ago, so
shot
clock is winding down.
All right. I'll just do it because I think the value for the pick is good, even though I am a little worried about the player. I'm going to get my second linebacker. I'm going to go Jalen Walker, who went to the Falcons at pick 15 overall. And again, he's a player that I would have liked a lot more if I could sit here today and tell you he's going to be my edge 2, but I can't do that because that's not where he's kind of listed at right now. He's listed as a linebacker. I like him more as an edge rusher. I think he offers a lot there. But the reason I feel a little bit comfortable taking him now is because, 1, the investment they put in him is massive. And 2, they did add another edge rusher that I think they can start to use Jalen Walker any way they really want to and really maximize his value instead of making him have to do more than he can chew, right? Which they've done to other players in the past. So I now have Jahad Campbell and Jalen Walker as my linebackers of the future. And I feel somewhat good about it. I don't feel fantastic, but I feel somewhat good.
That one actually really hurts me. I was looking at that. And again, scarcity. There are hardly any good linebackers in this class. I shouldn't say any good linebackers, any highly touted linebackers in this class. Following those 2, and Jalen Walker may be an edge. So if there may be one touted linebacker, and that one has injury concerns too. So,
but to be honest, Ray, I might take a third. So just putting that out there.
You're going to run a 4-3 with this draft class. With this draft class, you're going to have 3 off-ball linebackers.
Depending on where the value is, I might.
All right. Godspeed, buddy. So I'm not going to go linebacker with this pick. And instead, so I'm going to go ahead here and close out my edge position. And I'm not sure I love it because I think I could replace this guy. Like I may replace this guy in next year's rookie class. I don't know. But the upside is there. The proof of concept and the history is there, even if the tape right now is not. I'm going to go ahead and take Mykel Williams at edge. He's got the powerful base and run stuffing ability right now. He's a very good run defender. The pass rush has not come together. And it's a little odd how some of his pass rush issues stem from strength and core strength, but yet he has such prowess as a run defender. Nevertheless, San Francisco does know what they're doing out there, even if it's going to take another year or two to get back to where they've been recently. So I'm going to go ahead. Mykel Williams, still just 20 years old, with some upside, a good frame, and at least I can hang my hat on some run stuffing ability here. I'm going to go ahead and take Mykel Williams with this next pick as my edge 2. And then following that, going down the list again, talking about scarcity. I have no choice but to take Gray Zabel, the guard for the Seahawks. Went 18th overall in the first round this year. 23 years old. I have him a decent bit below Tyler Booker and Donovan Jackson. But given what else is out there, and again, these guys are hard to find, at least I can count on the style of play out there in Seattle. He is a physical good player. He's just maybe not necessarily the top tier based on my board. I'm going to go ahead and take that now and at least have a nice solid option at the second guard spot as well. So really starting to fill some of my pairs here out at edge and inside at guard.
Good pick. I wasn't sure if you were going to do it, and you did. I'm happy you went edge because it gives me some time to kind of figure out what I want to do there. I need to start building out some positions, though, and I'm going to take Derek Harmon with this next pick. Derek Harmon is a player that, I was openly a little bit down on pre-draft, and I had him outside of the first round. And, I think he got picked a little bit higher than I would have expected him to, being that he was, picked at 21st overall to the Steelers. But it's because he went to the Steelers that I kind of trust him. The edge group that the Steelers have is the best in the NFL. I don't even think it's a question at this point. And then you start to think about that interior and the veterans that they have there and the guys that he can learn from. It should be a fantastic situation for him. So he's a player I'm just going to bet on that. Maybe my evaluation changes because of the landing spot, and I really like that. So we're going to go with him. And then with my second pick, I think it's time. I need to go corner. Will Johnson is going to be my pick. I know, I actually didn't end up loving the destination for him. I think that cornerback room is pretty weak. The safety group is weak as well. And they're kind of like throwing everything they have at that defense to try to just make it float. And I think it's going to put a lot of pressure on Will Johnson, but I have to trust my evaluation and know that he's a player that I trust to perform better in the future. Those are my two picks. It's back to you.
I can't believe he's here. Just like I couldn't believe he was there for this team on Friday night. I'm going to take Andrew Makuba, the safety for the Philadelphia Eagles. My safety one in this class. I said it, the NFL somehow let another fantastic player fall right to the Eagles at a position that they could have used an obvious upgrade at. But it's a great situation, right? He's a defender on the Philadelphia Eagles. He's got a great front in front of him, great pass rush, great run defense. Good, much better corners than they had the last couple of years with Quinyon Mitchell sort of emerging, Cooper DeJean as well. Makuba can just roam and make plays and be a ball hawk, make plays on the ball, which is what he does best. So it's a phenomenal fit and situation for Andrew Makuba. So I'm going to go ahead there and add another good piece to my secondary. And then I'm going to pivot a little bit away, and I'm going to go ahead and take it's been way too long. I'm going to take Ashton Genty. I mean, top 5 player overall in the class. Running backs matter. They matter more than they did before. Okay, that's number one. And number two, I mean, he's just the best player on the board by far at this point. So I'm going to go ahead, take Ashton Genty. That's my running back. And again, maybe the situation holds him a little bit back on the offensive line in year one. I don't think so, but you seem to subscribe to that belief. I think they'll be just fine. I think they're going to build this offense around him, and Brock Bowers is a little bit of a mobile element there now as well. I like what Chip Kelly's going to do there. I'm pretty high up on Ashton Genty and his situation, not just his talent. So give me Genty here at pick whatever we're on now.
All right, you got it. I am going to go back to the well at corner, and I'm going to go Maxwell Harrison. This is a player that I did like a lot pre-draft. I did have him more of that early second round grade instead of first round grade. He ended up going 30, so it's not like a huge shift from where I had him. But he's a player I love. The speed is incredible, and I start to like my defensive back room a lot. So I'm happy with that pick. I then am going to make a really difficult decision, and I told you I was going to do it, and I'm doing it. I'm taking Carson Schwessinger, the linebacker that landed with the Browns. He's a player that I liked a lot pre-draft, and I actually like the destination a whole lot too. I think the Browns, again, what's in front of him is going to make his life really, really easy. I get a little worried that he had such a limited body of work in college, but I trust my evaluation. I trust the guys that I like, and he's a guy that I like. So I'm going to go ahead and I have 3 linebackers. I never thought that would happen.
Yeah, well, I also didn't think I'd have 2 running backs, but here I go. I'm going to take Omarion Hampton here. This is a pretty deep running back class, so like there are good options to be had after this, but they're going to have question marks. Omarion Hampton, we know what we're going to get. Downhill attack behind a sturdy offensive line. They're getting weapons. They're getting downfield weapons to really sort of work play action off of that with big downfield targets for Herbert out there in Los Angeles for the Chargers. Omarion Hampton in a Jim Harbaugh offense behind arguably the league's best tackle duo in the entire NFL. It's a recipe for success. I love it here. So I guess I'm going to run 21 personnel here and take Omarion Hampton as my second running back in this class. And I got so excited for that one that I'm not even sure where I'm going to go next. But I think, you know what? You're at the point. Remember what I said at the start of this whole thing. You got to have fun. I'm going to have some fun here. Who do I want on my football team? I want Kevin Winston Jr., the safety for the Tennessee Titans, on my football team. May have been the first safety off the board if he were healthy this past season. Had a phenomenal start to the year before getting hurt in week 2. Has all the tools, the traits, the frame. Tennessee, another team that, again, isn't quite there yet, but they're going to be adding pieces over the next year and 2 years so that if I'm hitting my stride in year 3, this is the kind of player I want when he's 23 years old in a couple years, really hitting his stride in the NFL. So I'm really happy with my safety duo and running back duo between Genty, Hampton, Makuba, and now Winston. Pretty happy with how both of those duos turned out.
That is an awesome duo. It's a nice pair.
Nice pair.
There's only one position that we both haven't drafted yet, and I'm going to do it because I think there's only one that I like. I'm going to take Jared Wilson, the center that ended up with the Patriots. I don't really think he's phenomenal or anything like that. I don't even think he's going to start right away. But again, there's only one that I even like, so I'm going to do it. He went in the 3rd round, which is a really big investment for a center. So Jared Wilson is going to become a leap, which I'm excited about. And then I am going to take the running back that I wanted all along, because I think in this format, Travion Henderson has so much value as a do-it-all player that just plays the position all around very smoothly. And that's, I think, the difference between him and maybe not Genty, but Omarion Hampton. I think he offers more as an all-around back than Hampton does. So I kind of baited you a little bit there. Those are my 2 picks. Handing it back to you.
I guess, you know what? I can't even do my upside chase yet. I can't because injuries are annoying. But then again, you wiped out the linebacker board to where I really don't have much to work off of at that point either. So it's just a matter of what kind of defense do I want to run. And I'm not sure what defense I want to run just yet. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and just take my second corner here. And it's going to be Benjamin Morrison. It's going to be Benjamin Morrison, the cornerback for the Buccaneers. If it weren't for the hip injuries, rather, not necessarily the hips on tape, he's the exact kind of corner that I love. My style of play has to get a little bit stronger. Health has to check out. I think the thing with Morrison isn't more so how the hip injuries affect him today. It's how they're going to affect him long term. So it's a little counter to what I've been doing with my team building exercise to date. But I think the player here and the talent is too good to pass up. So I'm going to take Benjamin Morrison here as my second corner. And then with my sort of double up pick, what defense do I want to run, Chris? What defense do I want to run? I guess I know what defense I want to run. I'm going to go ahead and also take Savone Ravel at this point here. Another one where I'm going to have to wait a little bit for him to hit his stride. He's coming off of that knee injury, but he's going to have a big role in Dallas this year. He's taking someone's job over there. Whether it's Diggs or Bland long-term, we'll see. But he's taking a job out there in Dallas. The upside is great. If you watch the film breakdown episodes, you know I'm in love with what he brings to the table. So those are going to be my three cornerbacks then. Jahdae Barron, Savone Ravel, Benjamin Morrison. I think it's like three different body types that can kind of complement each other well and give me a good cornerback trio to build a young nickel defense around to start with. So I guess I'm pretty happy with how that turned out.
That was great. And I already have my next two picks locked in. I am taking a really big risk, and I understand that, but I'm going for value. I'm taking Mike Green, the edge rusher that landed with the Ravens in the second round. I think he fell because of the issues he has off of the field, but I think this is edge 2 in this class most likely. So I feel really good about that as a player, but I am super worried about it off the field. And then with my second pick, I was also kind of baiting you to take Greg Zabel. I want Tate Ratledge. That's just been my dude the entire time.
That's fine.
He landed with the Lions. I love the situation, and I just think he's going to be a great player for a really long time.
Yeah, that's a crisp pick. I get it. I'm gonna take my guy. I mentioned him on a previous episode at linebacker, Cody Simon for the Arizona Cardinals. So again, now you have Walter Nolan. You have Cody Simon right up the gut of that defense there. They get to grow together. He's behind a good run defending defensive interior right there in the middle of that defense. So I think long-term, again, as they hit their stride, I think this is one that's going to progress pretty nicely. So I'm going to go Cody Simon, the linebacker out of Ohio State, a really stout, fundamentally sound player who's kind of sneaky athletic, more athletic than you think. He kind of really close well. And when he gets there, he hits you pretty square. So I'm a big fan of his game, Cody Simon. And then I'm looking, and I don't even know what center to take. So I'm just not going to take one yet. And I'm just going to try to do some on the fly stuff here. So I'm not going to go ahead and take a center. I guess I'm going to double up at linebacker and take Demetrius Knight, one-dimensional player. I don't really love the fit in Cincinnati, but he was the fourth linebacker taken in this class. They invested in him. Eventually, that defense has to turn around and rely on more than just Trey Hendrickson. Yeah, maybe they don't turn around. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe this is one of those guys I replace in next year's class and some of the linebackers coming out then. But I think I'm going to double up and go ahead and take Demetrius Knight. And those are my two linebackers for the class here, Cody Simon, Demetrius Knight. Simon a little bit more all around. Knight definitely that run stuffer, but again, really needs to polish up, has some guessing to his game, which makes me really uncomfortable, but I'm uncomfortable with whoever I take at this point at linebacker because you took all the good ones.
All right. Well, I played you like a fiddle. Everybody saw it. No, I'm going to finish this thing off on my side. I have two positions left. I have safety and whether or not I want to run 11 personnel or 12, whatever it is. I'm going to take a receiver. I'm going to take Trey Harris. And the reason being, I really liked him pre-draft. I think he offers a lot as a route runner that people weren't really kind of talking about. He landed in the best situation. I don't feel like I could come out of this draft without somebody on the Chargers, right? You took Hampton. I think the Chargers offense is going to explode pretty soon. And I want a piece of that. And I'm going to take Trey Harris. And then I'm going to go Xavier Watts over Nick Emenwari. I'm going Xavier Watts again, pre-draft. I had a really high grade on Xavier Watts. I loved what he did as an all-around player. And another team that I think is starting to do the right things and is ready to take the next step with Michael Penix is the Falcons. I think Xavier Watts is a big part of that. So you are left, and it's literally just center.
Yeah, and I literally don't know who to take because I know the players. Not that I don't know the players. I don't know who's starting. I don't know if any of these guys are starting.
Probably not. I don't think any of them start.
Probably
including Jared Wilson, who I took.
Including Jared Wilson, who you took. So I guess I'm going to sit here and take Seth McLaughlin of the Bengals. Center tore his Achilles pretty late last year, so I'm not even sure he's going to get any snaps this year. But if I'm doing the long-term play, and I'm not sure any of these guys are starting anyway, give me the one that had a high level of play before his injury. isn't, again, a physical specimen or anything like that, with a ton of upside, but this is center. I want sound, smart play from my center. And outside of the snapping issues he had late at Alabama in 2023, I think he can do that and bring that at the position in the NFL. Given the state of the offensive line for the Bengals, he can find a spot somewhere on that team and on that line. So give me Seth McLaughlin to close it up at center, and we'll see who I draft at center early in next year's rookie exercise when we do this all over again and begin to round out our 2D for real.
This was super fun. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. If you haven't yet, give us a follow on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at all22_PFF, and give us a review wherever you're watching or listening to your podcast. Have a great day.
Go.